I loves me canty. Deja vu. Oh, we're here.
All right, Dan Shanahan.
Oh, quality. What a day. What an absolute day.
Tony Brown Ale.
Oh, fucking stupid.
Oh, stop.
Lads, welcome to week 4 and our final segment, our final part of the Candemic series. We've had 24 cans drank and we have 8 cans to go. Our last segment, DJ, how do you feel about that?
Good, yeah. I can't believe that we've gotten as many cans and as many counties represented as we have. Like I said last week, you know, just like Michael Collins, the first 26 were no bother, but the last 6 were a real fucking stretch. And we didn't quite get there, but more on that later on. But fuck it, like I'm proud of what we've done and what we've achieved here in getting like fuck it, the vast majority of counties actually represented, and like we've had some good creative solutions to represent the counties that aren't.
Yeah, an absolute journey of discovery and stuff, hasn't it been? Like, it's just, we said it on every single podcast so far, but I've been so amazed at like this journey of what we've had to do and like going searching for breweries in different counties. And then like, actually the information is quite tough to find out because you end up pulling from, we pulled initially kind of from this Wikipedia article of list of breweries in Ireland, but like a lot of those were like defunct and like gone out of business or had like merged with other counties and stuff or other breweries and stuff like that as well. So it wasn't as easy as just like tipping through that list. And then there was the actual piece of trying to go and source them. So we went as local as we could initially. And then I had to go locally up here in Kildare and get a few. And then we hit the online. And this week, we had to go a bit further, didn't we?
Yeah, but like the typical dopes that we are, we procrastinated everything to the last minute. Like,
yeah, but I think that was the magic of it. That like I think each week pretty much we had 8 cans to source. Like we had a month to source 22 cans, which is the correct way we should have gone about it. But we pretty much went like, right, we've sorted these 8 cans for this week. Stop looking.
Yeah, but I love the way like week 1 we had like the 32 counties down, and we were like this camp for this county, blah blah blah, and we literally like were like, right, we need to get on this now. And like we 3 were like, have we bothered getting on to any of these breweries or any, have we sorted this out? And you're like, no, we'll sort it tomorrow. Listen, we're at the end now, but I think we've done remarkably well. And fuck it, like we really have pretty much got there. Like, gee, like it really has been eye-opening, and the quality of can and the quality of bottle around the country is something to behold. And you shared on our Twitter page today, like an article from Joe.ie on 5 craft beers to buy at Christmas time or something along them lines. And it was a really good article. I read it. And 5 of the cans are 5 drinks that we didn't feature in this Candemic series. So we've got like 32 different drinks that we're featuring.
Joe.ie are fucking, they have a notion like 5 cans, 32 cans. That's what we do. That's what we're at.
They have the resources, but we have the brains.
Yeah.
And but what I was going to say was, like, if you see there straight away, 37 top quality drinks. Like there's pretty much 0 complaints from us on what we've had so far. The quality of Irish brewing at the moment is better than it's ever been. The diversity range, the styles of beers that are on offer is absolutely top notch. And again tonight, like, you know, 32 cans, 32 counties. I've got 4 counties and I'm drinking 4 different styles. And again, that's not out of choice.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's nearly by design, and it's nearly been that way every week.
Hold on, are we matching each other again this week?
Possibly, yeah. But at the same time, that being said, like it's purely emblematic of the quality and standard and diversity of Irish brewing at the moment. And I think that can just be commended. And I think the one thing that we've shown and that we tried to show, and I think have successfully done so throughout this mini-series, is that Irish brewing is in a phenomenal place, and it's just up to the consumer now to back them.
Here. So it is Saturday the 28th of November when we're recording this, so hopefully we'll have this published all going well on Monday the 30th of November, because I would like to get it all out within November, this Candemic series. Shit has happened to us before in the past, so I'm not making any promises, but I'd like that to happen.
Can I make a link here on, right, to this about,
drinking cans?
Hopefully, no, I was going to say hopefully, plan on getting this out on Monday. And I suppose it all depends on the post podcast cans and how struggling you are tomorrow. And like throughout this series, we've continued the cans on after recording. And I suppose what mirrors what is now an Irish tradition that has found its way into folklore, because it hasn't been seen in many's a moon, and that is the Irish pub lock-in.
Do you know, actually, I've a confession for you. I've never experienced an Irish lock-in. I've experienced a Portuguese and a Grecian lock-in. Now, actually, that Portuguese one was in an Irish bar, but I've never experienced the classic country pub, lights off, till closed, like say nothing, lock-in. And it's something like it's one of those things as well. It's totally well, from what I've heard, I can't say from experience, but from what I've heard, it's something that, is on the spur of a moment, that you need to be there. You need to be lucky for it to happen. And you can't just kind of invite yourself to one, because you don't know when it's going to happen. It's up to the publican to be in the mood for it to happen. But please let me have one.
The fact that you've only ever been to a Portuguese or a Grecian, as you say, lock-in is egregious. We need to sort that out. We need to sort that out ASAP. But I like the lock-ins that I've been to, have been purely circumstantial. A few after like sporting occasions, matches and stuff like that, where like, if you're playing with a team and you win a tournament or something, you win a trophy or a county championship or something, and you go back and you end up getting a lock-in. Like that's just kind of like the ultimate Irish tradition in terms of lock-ins. But I've been at a lock-in because of a flood. I was at a lock-in once because there was a flood. There was just like a heavy rain that caused an overflow, and basically if you open the door, it let water from the street in. So the barman was like, let's just fucking stay here for the night, and I got lock-in that way. And I've been at a few random, you're dead right, and it's very random, very spontaneous. And you couldn't plan a lock-in. You couldn't say, I want to go out tonight and get to a lock-in. It doesn't work that way. It's it's like those a lock-in is like those Pokemon in back in the Game Boy days. Just some of them didn't exist, and you just got lucky if you came across some other ones.
An ultra rare. Yeah, Jesus.
Speaking of ultra rare, Waterford beat Kilkenny in the hurling today.
Oh my God, what a game. For our foreign listeners, with the All-Ireland Senior Hurling Championship, semi-final was taking place today between Waterford and Kilkenny, two neighbouring counties. And it's the first time, or Waterford hadn't beaten Kilkenny in Croke Park in 61 years in a championship game prior to this. And oh my God, they got absolutely hiding in the first half. They couldn't hit it over the bar. It was unbelievable. Like I actually texted the lads. So there's a famous rock in Waterford. I think we might have spoken about it before on the podcast, but it's this kind of flat rock face in Waterford. It is in Waterford, actually, yeah. That is painted either blue or white, the Waterford colours, or black and amber, the Kilkenny colours, depending on who has paint on them and who's actually arsed to go get it. So it's kind of like this rock face that's overlooking Waterford. And I text the lads at, I'd say about 20 minutes into the game as well. I said, oh, you might as well paint black and amber now, like, because there was no way they were getting back into it. But oh my God, what a game. Like, that was unbelievable. What a comeback.
Yeah, I like, to be honest with you, like, I'm here sitting, what am I, like fucking 200 yards inside the Kilkenny border, like, you know, sitting there saying that was, like, that second half performance of Waterford was absolutely unbelievable. And for people to understand, like, you know, especially like we have listeners in America and Australia who like, you know, obviously we see the statistics, we don't know, they could be. And the thing about this is, think about rivalries, you know, and the fact is, like I live right on the border, and Waterford City, like, there's Waterford City, there's a river that flows alongside it, alongside Waterford City. Think back to the 12 Snugs of Christmas for the loyal Snugcast listeners. Did we end up in Jordan's Bar that night? I can't remember if we did or didn't. Possibly. Anyone who heard it
could have been bar 11. That could have been bar 11.
But there's some great bars on the quays of Waterford City, and across the quays is Ferrybank, which is this like suburb is a bit of a glorified word for it. Like, it's not a suburb, but it's within Waterford City, and literally the border of Waterford County and Kilkenny County runs through the middle of Ferrybank. So, like, their neighbouring counties, Waterford had only ever beaten Kilkenny in the championship twice before today. And I suppose to put this in context for like American listeners who might be into NFL, like the All-Ireland Hurling Championship started in the 1880s. So they've only beaten them twice in history before as neighbouring counties. So like this is a big deal. And Waterford beat them, got into the All-Ireland final. And here's my link, right? Here's the thing that'll make this magic for the listeners. Waterford in the All-Ireland final now, after beating Kilkenny for the third time in their history, first time in 61 years, as you said, in Croke Park. They are now have a chance to win the All-Ireland Hurling Championship for the first time since 1959. And who was a member of the Waterford team that won the All-Ireland Hurling Championship in 1959?
Phil
Grimes, the man, the myth, the legend, the name above Tom Ryan's pub in Waterford, was on the last Waterford team to win the All-Ireland Hurling Championship. So there's your link. There's your segue.
We're going to bring it back. And another amazing event that happened over, last night for us, but also over the last few days, is the Late Late Toy Show, which is an annual event where our late night, weekly hosted chat show, I suppose, it brings you a review of toys for the upcoming Christmas. But just this year, they absolutely knocked it out of the park, where they didn't really do the kind of toy review. They had a few kind of reviews of toys, but it was more so about the whole embodiment of like the hope of kids and like the messages that they can bring, and kids of different backgrounds and different abilities and stuff being able to just inspire the whole nation to donate in this toy show appeal that they created. I think it's gone past the 6 million mark now. Like, that is insane for a country of like, well, including the north, like 7 million. Like, that's unbelievable. Like,
yeah, I think like it's the equivalent of if the States did a show of Letterman, or like, what's a popular talk
Jimmy
show?
Fallon or something. Yeah,
Jimmy Fallon did a talk show some night with a heap of kids trying out a load of toys.
Yeah,
it's the equivalent of them raising $500 million for children charities on the same night.
Yeah,
you know, like that's it's insane. I'm not going to lie, I don't watch it purely from the point of view that I boycott anything that the host has to do because I don't like him. But I watched the clips of the kids on Twitter and stuff like that, and like just some special kids out there. Like, it was brilliant. And it's like this cult. The toy show has this cult status thing in Ireland where, like, you know, an awful lot of people will the toy show is usually the last Friday in November, and an awful lot of people will coincide that with putting up the Christmas decorations and getting the kids in that Christmas spirit and getting excited. And the kids get to stay up late to watch the toy show because it runs from like 9 o'clock until like 11:15, I think.
Yeah, half
That
9 to
that kind of
about
time.
half 11 or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of time frame. So like the kids get to stay up late, and it's this big massive occasion that officially marks in Ireland, culturally and societally, to build up to Christmas. Like Christmas is here. Enough of that Brown Thomas shit of Christmas decorations in fucking August or September or whenever they do it. Like that's the marking that Christmas is coming. So it's like this massive culturally significant Irish night. And then there's like, I saw people did a toys show drinking game as well, just to link it back to Snowcast related fact. So maybe next year we might, depending on what the situation is, we might look into a toy show, Snowcast live drinking game or something along them lines.
Maybe into that, yeah.
Yeah, like for me, it's not a big deal because I don't watch it ever since your man Tuberty took over it. I don't tend to watch it that much anyway. So like, I have no problem doing some shit like that with some overseas listeners. Like it'd be pretty cool. Like, it'd be 4:30 in the States on a Friday. Like, getting lads in their office, like having cans or something. But sure, look, we'll see what the crack is anyway. And, it'd be like 9 a.m. in Australia. There'll be some crack.
Unbelievable. So our toy show is the Candemic, where we're reviewing cans instead of reviewing toys. And well, let's just kick it off. I suppose I'll tip off with the first one, will I? My first can, so actually tonight, just to give the old preamble, is even though it's called a Candemic, I'm tucking into 2 bottles and 2 cans. So my first bottle on the Candemic is from County Armagh, and it's Carson's Crisp Cider. So Armagh, the Orchard County, had to go for it. We were discussing this beforehand. We were like, looking up breweries and stuff like that, and very hard to find a brewery in Armagh that was brewing beer, but we definitely were able to find the Armagh Cider Company. So we said, sure, look, we have to. So I had this Carson's Crisp Cider during the Waterford game, and oh god, it was really nice. Like it didn't taste like synthetic or anything like that. It tasted like alcoholic apple juice. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that like fucking natural appley taste that it was just really nice, really fresh, and yeah, just really enjoyed it. Like I don't know. Have you? What would be your feelings on cider now? You enjoyed that Legacy Irish cider, didn't you? From Waterford.
Yeah, the medium dry I thought was lovely.
Yeah.
I like my thoughts on cider. I love a cider in the summer. Would you be more of a dry man or a fruity man? I can see. Like it completely depends on the context. I think. Like I think if it's, right. Context is all about it. If it's like a Saturday afternoon and you're having 1 or you're having 2, go for the fruity stuff because it's sweet.
That's so good.
You can get them in Phil Ryan's, what's the Swedish brand of Alaska, is it?
I don't know
them ones. Yeah. And they're a very nice drink to drink. Like they're very fruity and juicy. They're a bit too sweet for me. Like, but 1 or 2 of them when you're thirsty, and especially now, like
I know what you're on about though. That like that Kronenbergs and stuff like that can be a bit sickly, like, can't they? Like,
So like, say for example, if for us the thing would be if we went to Dunmore East, for example, and
the sun was splitting the rocks, like.
Yeah, we went go for a swim, come out, go up to have go up to have a wrap or something, and what'll I have with the wrap in a bar in Dunmore East or something, and give me one of those fruity ciders. They're lovely. Whereas I think, like, if you're in it for the long haul, if you're at a barbecue early in the day and you're going to be drinking all night and it's absolutely scorching out, I think a dry cider is perfect.
Yeah.
So that's my take on cider. I like this is the thing, we're looking at this, and I think like you drew the short straw on drinking the cider in terms of like the time of the year and the context, because
I know it was odd. It was very odd now. Well, actually the thing about it is that it was odd drinking the cider in November, but having the All-Ireland Ireland semi-final, it kind of tied it back. I nearly thought it was kind of August time there, like that I was like sipping away on a nice cider, like watching the hurling, like, you know.
That's a lovely little story.
Yeah.
Any crack with Armagh, no?
So I do. In fairness, I ran a load of. I was doing a bit of research there today, and I ran all my stories past Ciara, and she did, I'd say, about 2 seconds worth of research and came out with 4 better stories. So, so that's what I'm going with. Ciara's amazing stories, like. What I am going to talk about is a company which makes their product in Armagh. Do you have any guesses what it is? It is a food company.
Oh, a food company.
Yeah.
So I was going to guess like O'Neill's GA or something.
Yeah, no. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
A food company that makes their product in Armagh.
Yeah.
No idea.
It is the Northern Tatoes.
Go away.
Yeah. So Tato Snacks, which I think is which is the name of the company that runs. So basically, it was this fella called Thomas Hutchinson was wondering what to do with a 500-year-old Tandragee Castle in County Armagh that he acquired in 1955, right? So he found the popularity of Tato in Dublin was fucking huge. So he ended up approaching, what's the name of the guy in Dublin now? Joseph Spud Murphy was the Dubliner who founded the Irish Tato, and he approached him and basically went and got the name and the recipe rights, or kind of license, I suppose, to distribute it up north, and the crisps were initially first sold out of a single delivery van. Before Deel involving the Findlater family stores and distribution network unleashed them throughout Northern Ireland. But I thought it was just really cool. But one of the lines that I got from this article is, do you know what Northerners call Southern Tatoes?
I do. Actually, I think this was discussed on a Snugcast that you were absent for.
Oh,
Free Stato.
Oh, that is so good. I absolutely wetting myself about him. But another fact about him as well is that Liam Gallagher reckons that Southern Tatoes are the best Tatoes. So yeah, there you go. I just thought that was just a little tidbit, because I was like, what the, like, because everyone always asks, so what the hell is the difference between like these two Tatoes and why are they different and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just a fella who it sounds like he was an absolute wheeler dealer, like going around, like he was getting like these licenses for like Ribena and all this kind of crack, just to try and like import them in, like, you know, and like looking at things that were popular elsewhere. But yeah, there were this article was on about like Boris Johnson and stuff, and how saying like, oh, it'd be ridiculous now if these, like, the Northern Tatoes will have to fill out some sort of customs declaration and stuff like that. Like, what a fool.
So have you ever had some
Northern? Yeah, I have. Yeah. And I actually reckon they're pretty good. Like, you know, I think it's one of those things as well of like literally, like when we were growing up, like for your lunch, like there'd just be like a packet of Tato thrown in as your carb or whatever. Well, actually alongside the white bread sandwich, like, but just thrown in, like, you know. So like it was an absolute staple, and I think we've become so accustomed to having potatoes and like that flavoring that it probably loses its like how good like cheese and onion potato actually is, because they're always like looking for like the other thing, like, you know. So like when you taste like the northern potatoes, you're trying to like taste the difference. I think they're probably a bit more oniony or something like that, the northern ones. But yeah, I think they're pretty good as well. Like, you know, still reckon that the classic Free Stato is the best. But
there's only one way to solve this. We do a blind taste challenge of the 2 different potatoes in potato sandwiches, and that'll be the definitive answer.
I'm putting up a poll on Twitter here now, and we'll see what the answer is for the end of this. All right. And while I'm doing that, DJ, tell me about your second can, or actually your first can and your first county.
The 22nd, no, not the 22nd. The 26th can of the Candemic is Graciosa by Hopfully.
Oh God.
There it is, from County Offaly. That's the can for those of you watching this on the YouTube. A delicious tropical pale ale. It's a tropical pale ale, 5.3%. It featured on one of the early episodes of the Snowcast because it was on draft in Phil Grimes' pub. And how it got on draft in Phil Grimes' pub is an interesting story, because the guys at Hopfully were contract brewing out of Metalman. So I think Metalman got Hopfully into a few Waterford bars. So that's how they came on our radar. And Graciosa was the first one that I tried from the guys in Hopfully. And it's a really, really nice pale ale. The tropical pale ale is definitely the description for it, because it's that mangoey, passion fruity kind of, you know, those tropical kind of fruits that come to the fore. It's not citrusy per se, to me anyway. It's more that kind of mango style. Really, really nice, juicy, but it's 5.3%, and you do feel it. Like, I find it's a nice punchy pale ale. Really, really good to drink. And what I love is on Beer Cloud, shout out to Beer Cloud, because we were able to get some of our stuff off them, and they've been brilliant throughout the whole summer since being set up by the guys in Dead Centre. Is you get these 330ml cans, and we were just talking before we came online on about the quality of having 330ml cans available, like, you know, 500ml bottles, the larger cans, those larger bottles like the White Gypsy one you had there a couple of weeks ago in a previous episode are brilliant. But sometimes you just want to horse a few cans into you, and the 330mls are brilliant just for that size. Again, basically, we're trying to drink 4 beers while we record this and keep it to a respectable time. Even though the podcast have gradually gotten longer as we've gone over the Candemic series. But that being said, you know, we have to have 1 or 2 on board beforehand before we record, so we try and make it 1 or 2 that we're drinking on the night. So I had just after the Waterford Kilkenny game there, I had the Graciosa, and like, it actually, I was like, I'm so used from the Candemic series of drinking 500ml bottles and the 500ml cans, or the larger cans, that I couldn't believe it was gone when it was gone, and I was like looking for more. So really, really good. And yeah, you've had Graciosa a few times in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, it's that real, like, as you say, it's that kind of tropical flavors. Like, I don't know, it's kind of pineapple-y, and like it's lovely. Like, yeah, real like as Finn Dwyer would say. You can't beat a tropical can, you know what I mean?
Oh, listen,
you know what I'm saying, you know?
If Finn has gone mad for the fruity, juicy pale ales, like, he would love this now. He would absolutely love it. He's a bollocks, because he was texting, we're in a WhatsApp group together, and Finn was giving me abuse there before we came on here. So he's a bollocks, but he would love the Graciosa. So yeah, Finn, the Graciosa is well worth having. Speaking of then, like, so Hopfully are the only brewery, as far as I'm aware, that are registered in County Offaly. And Offaly, like, to be honest with you, it's one of those counties that there's not much going on. So, but it was the one thing I know about County Offaly, just off the top of my head, is that it was previously known as Kings County. I don't know why, but it's just something I remember from Junior Cert history. But Offaly came to the fore really strongly in the last decade, because of its links with someone globally known and highly prominent. Do you know what I'm talking about, Owen?
No.
So Monaghal in County Offaly.
Oh, yeah.
Is the birthplace of a guy with a fucking brilliant name. Hold on a second, I need to get this right because I have my glasses on. There was a guy born in County Offaly by the name of Falmouth Keeney. I can't read my own writing, to be quite honest. Falmouth Keeney, who immigrated to New York and settled in Indiana back in the day. And he had children, and they had children, and one of his children's children was none other than Barack Obama.
Wow.
So Barack Obama visited Ireland during his presidency, and he made a stop off in Monaghal in County Offaly, and it was massive deal over here at the time. And even went to the local pub and had a few pints. So like here, like he dropped a heap of bombs on the Middle East. So like he's a bit of a bollocks, but he was some man for the pints. Barack.
In fairness, he had a great trip that time. Like it was like the I'd say the amount of like industry that he brought to Monaghal and Offaly and like was fantastic. And like there's the service station now named after him in Monaghal as well.
Barack Obama Monaghal
Plaza, yeah.
Do you know my favorite thing about
actually fucking great plaza as well. Great, like probably top 5, I'd say top 5 motorway stop-offs in Ireland. That's another episode in itself, like us ranking.
We'll talk about our many visits to Paulstown over in another episode. But the one thing I want to say about that trip to Ireland for Barack Obama so Barack Obama had the most Irish experience of anyone ever. He had an important occasion to get there, and his car got stuck on a speed ramp.
Oh, that was the American embassy, wasn't it?
Oh, the most Irish thing that could happen, like something stupid like that. You know, these reinforced cars and all the planning, and then he gets fucking caught on the top of a speed bump.
That's so good.
What a shower of dopes. But there's one other. So actually, a lot of my counties tonight, I didn't know too much about going into, and I did a bit of research into the people from the counties. Was a bit of a theme of my research previous to this. But another person from County Offaly who was from Eden Derry was a guy called Cornelius Heaney, and he immigrated to the States penniless. He was one of these economic refugees to the United States back in the day, like a couple of 100 years ago, back in the 18th century. He was like this like genius businessman back in the day, and he got wicked rich. And instead of like creating this empire for himself, he basically owned a heap of land in Manhattan. He managed to acquire an awful lot of land in Manhattan, around where modern day Fifth Avenue would be. And it was he who donated the land where St. Patrick's Cathedral now resides in Manhattan. So that was the chap from Offaly did all that.
Wow.
That's all I've got for Offaly.
That's enough, isn't it? Like that's
Yeah.
Hey, that's a like I love these. I've loved these little stories throughout. Like I know we haven't reflected on enough, but I think the format of this, how it's gone through, and I think we've gotten such good feedback as well from the listeners as well. Like it's been like this has probably been the content that we've produced that has gotten like the most feedback, the most positive feedback. And yeah, people just seem to love this. And yeah, I'd love to go on and kind of like talk more to the brewers and like because what we're doing now is we're looking and we're getting like little tidbits of experiences, but or little stories and bits, but like on one of yours previous ones, you text lads from Laois and you got like the kind of little Laois stories, like, you know, and it's those bits that you're not going to find on a web page that are like absolutely phenomenal. Like, so yeah, I'd love to continue on this and get those kind of like local stories, the bits, you know, the bits that are nearly the bits that are nearly false, like we heard there was a fella once who lost his eye in a fight or something, you know, up in,
or like take what I said about Laois with a pinch of salt, to be honest.
exactly but that's the magic, that's the pub chat, that is what the pub chat is like. It's, oh, did you hear? And it's that thing where everyone will just, like, that's how Chinese whispers happen. They happen from a pub. That's where they initially start off, like, you know.
Yeah, it was an Irish pub in Shanghai, and there was these two. That's exactly how it happened. But yeah, that's it. Like, I mean, Offaly, you know, actually watching hurling today, when we were kids, there was this like golden generation of Offaly hurlers, and they had like a club in Burr who won 2 Club All-Irelands, and they won 1 All-Ireland themselves from like a tiny county. It was a remarkable achievement. So there's that link to the hurling as well. But yeah, them 2 chaps there, Barack Obama's granddad and the fella who donated the land to St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, are my Offaly tidbits.
Ah, good stuff.
So that's 26 counties down on. Now we're into the danger territory. The last 6, this is where Michael Collins fell down, but the Snowcastle stand up. What's the 27th county of the Candemic?
It is County Mayo.
County Mayo.
Yeah, and I am going to chat about Real Deel Brewery's Mayo Red. So it's a red ale that the Real Deel Brewery came out with, and yeah, it was lovely. Like really, really kind of smooth, an absolute solid kind of red ale. I had that kind of it had a hint of maltiness about them. They say on the bottle now there was a small addition of Dillisk seaweed, which I'm in favor of. Didn't taste it, but I like what they were doing here. But I also love this on the side of their bottle. They have a pint of this with some bread and butter and some good local Mayo cheese is a great match. So, and they give Velvet Cloud or Dozio's Mayo cheese as their examples. But yeah, really cool. Like, and again, the bottle of this, I don't know if you can see it. You're not gonna really catch it, but basically the Mayo Red has like a tree on the front, and it's done in that kind of that thing, you know, where they do with 3D glasses, where they have like this like blue and exactly that you have it right in front of you, but they have this like blue and red kind of offset thing, so that if you put on 3D glasses, it's meant to kind of like jump out at you, which I think is pretty cool. I don't have 3D glasses, so I can't test it out, but
it also says need beer goggles. And
yeah, question mark. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, like again, just solid beers. Like they're just so good. Like just all these breweries, like just fucking.
And just like Smithwick's is only 3.8%. So as a red ale, as the most commonly known red ale, it's really sessionable. The Mayo Red is, what's this, like 3.5%, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I actually have drank a different beer from Real Deel recently, relatively recently on my honeymoon when I went to Achill Island. I had their Jack the Lads tropical pale ale as well, kind of citra hopped pale ale, which was bursting of flavour. Was really, really nice. I had an Achill Island there a couple of months ago. So like a good brewery, like Jesus, one that we would never come across.
No.
Only for the Candemic and
Candemic and craft beer community. I think this is part of their previous box, isn't it? So yeah, exactly. It's that kind of that discoverability that we've been kind of harping on about before. That like beers that you wouldn't be. And exactly, it's that kind of thing as well, DJ, that we haven't gotten much of this year, but you know, something like that you're saying there of like going to Achill and you're like, oh, what's brewing around here? I might tip into something local and see what they have, like. And you know, it's that, like, because you know we're like, probably our listeners are probably like sick of us talking about the same breweries, because we're just drinking in local pubs, and we're not saying that we're ashamed of doing that, but that's that they supply locally, and that's what we get, like. But it's so cool to kind of like get to these breweries and try these like other beers. It's yeah.
I think you've touched on something there that was on, like, if anyone listens to Irish Beer Snap podcast, and when they talk to like Barry Flanagan from Kildare Brewing Company, who you featured last week from County Kildare, and Barry was saying that, like, you know, instead of trying to distribute countrywide and internationally, like if he just keeps it local, that'll pay them back in the long run, and he's found that to be the case. So like that's why when we were doing a snowcast and we go to pubs in Waterford, we don't get to experience Real Deel or Kinnagar on draft, or, you know, Galway Bay. Maybe we do a bit because they distribute a bit further afield, or like, you know, we don't get Western Herd on draft over here, or Treaty Brewing, you know. So like there is that kind of like real locality thing about it that, you know, maybe if we got a few more Patreons on www.patreon.com/snugcast, we'd be able to go abroad and drink these beers in these pubs, which is great. County Mayo then, right? Apart from Real Deel, what are the real highlights?
So I was going to talk about the Pirate Queen, Grace O'Malley. So I was going to kind of talk about her, but then I said, I was sitting down and I was watching the match, and it says, do you know what? I'll actually just quickly talk about the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship, the Mayo Curse.
A good one.
So, yeah, so the last time that Mayo have won the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship was in 1951. So, like, they have come so close. I don't have the stats, but they've been in a ridiculous number of like finals. They've been like Connacht champions like so many times, but they've never ever clinched the All-Ireland since then. So there's this fabled curse about the Mayo team called the Curse of 51. And basically legend has it that a priest became incensed when the Mayo team bus were returning home from that 1951 final. And they passed by a funeral and they didn't show the due respect because they were all on the lash on the bus and they were celebrating the All-Ireland win. So supposedly the priest put a curse on Mayo that day that they would not win another All-Ireland title until all of the team had died. And so that team, they had two members remaining alive until 2019 when Pádraig Carney, or what was Pádraig Carney's? Pádraig Carney, also known as the Flying Doctor, passed away in 2019. So they have one member of the squad remaining, and it's tipped that they won't win the All-Ireland until that final member of the team has passed away. Like it's gas like this like myth thing, but like it's more gas that like it is actually it's actually like kept going, like that this is like it's actually panning out to be true, like, you know. And that you'd wonder like how much of that myth and stuff like eats into the Mayo psyche and stuff like that of the players. Like, do you think would you be like, would that eat into you? I'd say I'd be all over it. Like I'd be like wide ball.
If I was sitting in Oklahoma right now and I was listening to this as a Snugcast follower, I'd be like, what are you on about? That's nonsense. Like, go away and shout for yourself. But I've watched Mayo play in All-Ireland finals when they're clearly the better team.
Oh my God.
And like, you know, what was it against Dublin a couple of years ago?
Was it 2017 2 penalties or something, wasn't it?
No, it was 2014, 2013 or 2014. They had 2 own goals.
2 own goals. Oh my God, yeah.
There might not be 2 on, like the way Gaelic football is played, you wouldn't see 2 own goals in an entire season.
Yeah.
Every team in the country. Yet there were 2 own goals in the one final against Dubh a couple of years back. There was also the final against Dublin where they were a point up and Dublin hit the ball wide, and they had a goal kick, and they were a point up, and they managed to kick it out for a sideline ball. They kicked the ball out over the sideline. Dublin kicked it in, got a score, and then won a free from the next kick out and won by a point.
Yeah.
That all happened in stoppage time. Like, they just have this, like, I think I would say, like, usually these kind of things, like this like the curse or whatever, after a couple of generations, like, you know, there's only 2 people alive, and like, it doesn't affect any of the players. Like, they don't think about it on a daily basis, you would think. But then there's this mental fragility about it that you have to say, like, they are mentally weak. Like, it is a mental weakness. Like, there have been times where they have been the best team in the country and just not got over the line. And they put themselves in position after position after position to win it and not got over the line. So, like, there's obviously some fucking mental breach there. So, you know what?
I don't know, though. The 2 own goals, that's a curse. There's no way. Like, as you said there, there's absolutely no chance that would ever happen. Like, you'd never see that. You never see 2 own goals in Gaelic. Like,
I to be honest with you, like, I've played in hundreds of Gaelic football matches over the years, and I don't ever recall. I can't remember one single own goal being scored in Gaelic. Just the way Gaelic football is played, like, own goals just aren't a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fucking mad one, isn't it?
Yeah. It's so good, like, it's so Irish as well, like, that they didn't pay their respects at a funeral on the way home. Like, it's amazing.
But and again, it blends back into this folklore thing that we were talking about last week with fairy reports and stuff like that. There's one other thing I want to say about Grania, right? That you touched on there, like, the biggest contrast between, like, actual Irish identity and culture and heritage, and, like, what this, like, you know, concept of, like, some like, you know, nationalists that you might see online of Irishness being this, like, crazy conservative, like, Catholic ethos kind of thing, was, like, one of the biggest legends in Irish folklore history, whose castle is still standing to this day on Achill Island, is Grania, Grace O'Malley, the Pirate Queen. So, like, we have this mythical, like, well, not mythical, because
it's not mythical. There has been evidence. Yeah,
like, we have this actual person who existed, who was a pirate queen off the coast of Ireland, who was this absolute legend, and because a couple of hundred years ago, and then, like, it's this, like, incredible woman, and, like, I think, like, just like Constance Markovich and some other, like, incredible women in Irish history, like, Grania has to go up there and should be celebrated more.
I think my favorite story about Grania is that when Queen Elizabeth I, I think it was Queen Elizabeth I, when Queen Elizabeth I was, like, she asked Grania over to England in order to, because I think Grania or Grace O'Malley was absolutely wreaking havoc on the seas. So she was like, call her over to kind of deal a truce and do a bit of a deal with her. But Grace O'Malley didn't bow to the Queen, because she said, I'm a pirate queen. So I'm on the same footing as you. I'm a queen. So I think that's amazing. Like,
and the very famous Irish language song, Ordo Shade of Ahawalya, well, everybody knows the chorus.
Yeah,
it's actually about Grania bringing soldiers to fight with her, and bringing Spanish soldiers to fight with her. So Grania is mentioned in that song 3 times, I think. So,
unreal. Right. So before the halftime break, DJ, what is your second can? And I've lost count of how many counties we're on.
This is can
28.
28,
yeah.
There's a touch of tragedy about this one.
When the feeling's gone, you can't go on. It's
tragedy.
Yeah.
So, County Fermanagh.
Oh, stop, man.
There's one brewery in County Fermanagh, and the legends at Inishmack Saint Brewery. We were in contact with them. I was talking to them online. I was trying to buy a case off them, and they were so nice that they've sent me a few bottles in the post, but they haven't arrived yet, so they didn't get here in time. Unfortunately, and look, the postmen, delivery men and women are busy all around the country, so we won't blame them. But unfortunately, the Inishmack Saint is not with us, so we'll pour one out for our fallen comrade.
They were so good. They got back so quick to us, and look, it's just, I'd say it is Black Friday traffic and stuff like that. That is.
Yeah, and look, like the thing that I'll say is the bottles will come, and we've got a couple of podcasts lined up over the next few weeks that'll be very good. That I'm looking forward to bringing the people, and I'll be on the Inishmack Saint then, and I'll be championing them. But look, they're supposed to represent County Fermanagh, and just over the border from County Fermanagh is a town in Donegal called Muff. Stop laughing. and in this town called Muff, yes, that is genuinely the name of the town. Our friend of the pod, head brewer at Yellow Belly, has his own brewery, OffalyReel Brewing, from Muff, County Donegal. Here we are for YouTube friends, a mirror image of the bottle. And I decided, right, Donegal borders are Fermanagh, and I think Declan's from, Declan's a proud Ulster man. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to just have OtterBank, because we haven't featured an OtterBank beer that I'm aware of on the Snowcast yet. And it's a top-notch brewery. Like there was a snapback Saison last year that was really, really good. So it's a drink that got rave reviews on social media when it came out, and I picked up a bottle of it recently, and I just for my own consumption, and I hadn't drank it yet, and I was like, do you know what, it solves a problem for me here, because I need something to make up to the county of Fermanagh for me not having the Inishmack Saint in it, not arriving in time. I need something that's going to be mind-blowing. And sweet suffering mother of holy God in heaven above, is this mind-blowing. So it's described as a mixed fermentation Saison, and it's 8.2%. And it's aged in Pinot Noir and Chardonnay barrels, blended, bottled, to be enjoyed now or in years to come, it says. And let me just say, right, this is one of those drinks that when you open the bottle and you smell it, you're like, I was like, this is like blackberries, some sort of fermented blackberry kind of thing. Like, I was like, this is amazing. I didn't actually read the description or anything. I was like, right, aged in Pinot Noir and Chardonnay barrels. I was like, right, so it's grape I'm smelling. Obviously, my nose is a bit off. But I was like, this is fucking top notch. And I poured it out, and it was this deep color, and the aroma was really, really good. And then I tasted it, and it was something that, like, sometimes you drink something, like we drink so many different styles of beer and all that, like, and we're not experts. Like, I can't tell you bitterness or sulfur or any of this shit. But sometimes you drink something and it's like this, I can tell it is special. Like, I can't decipher the intricacies that make it special, but I can tell that this is a special feat in brewing. This is a special feat in creating something for human beings to consume. Like the science and technique and expertise and skill that has gone into creating this is like top notch. And it's one of those drinks that, like, it's 8.2%. It comes in this really cool bottle. It's so good. And it's one of these things that I think, if you enjoy wine, if you enjoy whiskey, or if you enjoy beer and you're looking for something different, like, find yourself a bottle of this and drink it, please. Because it's just a feat of human ingenuity that this has been managed to be created.
Look, we've sang the praises of Yellow Belly beer on this podcast so much, and like, Deck from them is literally a genius. Like, we've said it so many times, like, and I think you've just alluded to it there as well, of the fact that, he's obviously thought of something that he wants to try and create, and he has gone and created it as per the thought process that he's had. Like, it's insane. Like, as in, like, just going like that, like, there is the aging of wines, and there's like that barrel usage of those, and can I do something along those lines? Yes, I can. I can literally do that. It's just phenomenal. Like, it's so cool. Like that. Like, I would never, like, in my, I suppose, beer drinking experience, my my progression along this path, like, would ever, when I was back drinking fucking Stella Artois or whatever, like, have been like, oh yeah, I can get a whiskey aged stout that is going to like taste like that, you know, or whatever other like combination of flavors and ingredients that you can. But it's fair play.
I said to you before we started recording, because I was drinking this when we came on the Zoom, and I said to you, I don't know how, but it's a drink that has me searching for my own mortality. I don't know what that means, but it made me say that.
yeah. And I also saw a tear just trickle down your left eye into your cheek. I like doing this podcast and doing this thing with us where we're going to try and find different styles and different beers, and just, we're not drinking them from I want to judge the beer point of view. We're drinking them from do I enjoy, like, I want to experience new things point of view. And it just was one of these ridiculously unique experiences. And like, he's managed to get, like, I don't like wine, but he's managed to get one of the best bits of wine, which is, you know, when you drink a nice red wine, you have that like almost dry, like, thirst at the end of when you sup it. So you're like, I need more. I think the technical term is astringency, isn't it?
Oh no, don't care. It's fucking class.
That's one for the wine buffs out there. Just
there you go, Shane McNally. But look, like, then County Fermanagh. I mean, to be honest with you, like, Fermanagh's a really difficult county to look up, because, like, you know, there's, again, it's like one of these counties that we are so far removed from. It's one of the 6 counties in Northern Ireland, but it's like, where it's positioned is really random in terms of those 6 counties in Northern Ireland, because it borders with like Roscommon and Donegal and that, so it's in that little bottom left corner of Northern Ireland. But it's like the translation of it, like, basically Fermanagh is an anglicised version of the motto of the region, which is Fior Mai Annig, which means the county of the lakes, because there's a heap of lakes there. And there are some famous people from Fermanagh. Like I said, this is kind of what I went to when it comes to counties that I don't know shit off the top of my head from, or I don't have strategically placed people to ask for nonsense. Samuel Beckett and Oscar Wilde were both born in Fermanagh.
Oh,
I had no idea. So they're famous people. But someone who we may not be overly familiar with, who was born in County Fermanagh, was Patrick Tracy. And you might ask, who is this Patrick Tracy fellow at all? Patrick Tracy became the personal physician of one Michael Jackson.
What?
Yeah, some lad from Fermanagh was Michael Jackson's doctor.
He wasn't your man who killed him, was he?
I have no idea. Whoa, allegedly. Sorry. Yeah.
Actually, I think that went to the courts, and I'm not. No, actually, did he get convicted? I don't know.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't research that far, because I said if I found out, I'd definitely say something stupid on the podcast.
Like I did.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm just going to say that he was Michael Jackson's physician and let people come to their own conclusions on that. But some lad from Fermanagh was Michael Jackson's doctor. Was probably knocking about Neverland in a white coat and with a stethoscope at some stage. Oh, stop. But yeah, Fermanagh was, what's that, 27? 26? That's one of the counties anyway. 27. So, right on, before we take the break, because we're around the hour mark, I'd say now, are we?
I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
Who knows? Like, honestly, because where we used to record a podcast before Zoom, there was a timer on the app when we hit record, whereas now it's just a Zoom meeting. So we have no idea how long we're going on for. So apologies if it's 2 hours in and we're locked. Owen, what's your second can and county of the night?
I'm actually have to go through mine too already.
There you go. It's break time.
It's break time. We're
so for the break.
Yeah.
Depending on how I am tomorrow, we may or may not have an extra special treat for the break, a full song.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, look, thanks a million, guys, for supporting us. You can support us on patreon.com/snowcast. And we've really appreciated everyone who's contributed so far, and just every little helps. It's really helped us do this little series, because as I think we might have said on a previous podcast, but normally when you go into an off license, there's deals on four, say 4 cans for 10 or 12 euro, or 5 for 16 or whatever like that. And they're normally pick up 4 cans of Yellow Belly beer for 10 euro, or pick 4 Metal Man for 10 or whatever, right? But because of what we're doing with this series, we end up spending an absolute fortune. Because we have to order, especially the northern cans and stuff like that, where we're having to order 12 cans at a time in order to try and fulfill an order. So this has really helped with doing this series, and for everything that we have done.
Let's be honest, it's helped explaining to my wife why I've spent so much money on beer
and why your living room is just full of cans. It's that game you played when you were a kid, the floor is lava, the floor is cans. You have to walk across, you have to try and get from your sitting room to the kitchen without touching a can.
It's not possible, man.
It's not possible, yeah. But anyway, thanks a million, guys. We so appreciate everything that you're doing for us. So up now is a wee little song from one of us
from Christy Morecans.
Yeah, and then you'll probably hear an ad from Acast trying to sell you some stuff. All right, good luck.
I'm not an ordinary can, one from each county was the plan, to get us to the end of November. 8 cans every week we went out to seek, Beer Cloud, the Offie and the Plint. They said it would be hard, we did it and we're glad. Even if we blagged a county or 2, we drank a heap of beer from Yellow Belly to Nine there. From Western Herd up to Wicklow Wolf, an IPA, a brown ale, the Stout's barrel aged, the Candemic.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We have 28 cans done, and can 29 rolls on to me. And for can 29, I am going up north again. You can see a little bit of a pattern going on here, whereby the northern cans were a bit harder to get, and I got Lacada Brewery Co-op. So it's a co-op up in Belfast, and I'm drinking their Blue Pool New England IPA. And oh my God, it is so good, so good. So actually, DJ, we should probably tell them that for the lads are to try and source up north, that we had been going, as we said at the start of the episode, we had been going local initially, and then we had to kind of venture onto we had to venture on online then. So we went on to Beer Cloud, and we went on to Craft Beer Central, I think it's called. Was it Craft Beer Central?
Craft Central and Craft Beer Delivered.
Craft Beer Delivered and Craft Central. And then for some of the counties, so we were really struggling for Fermanagh, as you said. So we had Inishmack coming on, and I was struggling for Armagh and Antrim. So we had to go to an off license up north that was doing online deliveries. So it was KWM Wines. And I tell you what, excellent online-based off license. Really clear on the website, really easy to like get stuff, and really good selection because they're up north. Really good selection of Northern Irish beers, Republic of Ireland beers, and UK-based beers as well. Like so, yeah, big shout out to them. And they were so good at communicating with us when we were like, here, listen, lads, this is what we're trying to do here now. You know, we need to try and get these beers, and, you know, we're the podcast and we're doing 32 counties, blah, blah, blah. And they were just like, they were instantaneously back to us. So big shout out to, I think it was Emer, and Andrew that I was dealing with KWM Wines. And
like,
yeah, big shout
really,
out.
Were really supportive, like straight away. They weren't like dismissive or anything. They were like, oh my God, that's a really good idea. Like, how can we help, or what can we do? And yeah, shout out to the lads. Like, they were brilliant to deal with.
But anyway, back to the can. And this Blue Pool New England IPA, I think it was Citrus, Galaxy, and maybe Idaho 7. Sorry, I'll just get the can here now.
That's an interesting blend.
What was it? Galaxy, Citra, and Mosaic were the hops that were used. And so good, like so citrusy, just like, I'm really bad at explaining beers, but just so flavorsome, like so punchy, like in terms of like that citrusy thing. You feel so satisfied after drinking it. And like, as you said, Jesus Christ, I'm winded to fuck here. Our beers tonight were totally different categories for each of them. So I started off with cider, I went on to a red ale, and now I'm on this New England IPA. And I'll tell you, it was like the first two beers were good in what they do, like what they are. It was a good cider, it was a good red ale, but they wouldn't those categories of drinks wouldn't be my go-to ones. But this New England IPA was delicious. Such a really good beer. And yeah, really impressed with the brewery. I've like the front of the can has what's looked like the Giant's Causeway on the front of it, and just really kind of cool. Like it's like it's nearly it is a photograph of the Giant's Causeway with just like that's just wrapped around the can with like the Lacada like emblem like emblazoned on it. Like, but yeah, just really cool. Like, I don't know, have you ever had anything from Lacada? No,
I haven't, but like I think it's a great name for a brewery. I don't know why, but it just like when we were looking up the breweries, I was like, oh, that's a cool name. I hope we get something from them and we can.
Viva la Quinta Lacada.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, maybe they're of that persuasion. Hopefully they are. I mean, I had a beer earlier on in the on the podcast there from Deck that was like, that literally says always anti-fascist on the on the bottle. So like maybe they are members of La Quinta Brigada. I never had that from.
Yes, no, but some of the listeners might think that we're being a bit chancy about this thing, because again, Lacada, I think they are another Belfast brewery, but as we said, no, sorry, actually, Lacada is in Portrush, so these are out and out.
Like, there's no border trouble there. Like,
no, there's no border trouble. We had thought that we were going to do two Belfast breweries on one side of the River Lagan and on the other side, but we actually got a Belfast County Down drink, and we have now Portrush. So fuck you. Anyway, we did it.
Or look, like, geography was never either of our strong suits, but sure. That was the appeal of this challenge, wasn't it?
Oh, totally.
And what county is it from again? Antrim, is it?
From County Antrim, yeah.
So have you any stories about County Antrim?
So I actually have a really, really good story, and it is from it's actually based on the front of this can, and it's the story of the Giant's Causeway. Or going back again, we're after tipping into the mythology in Irish mythology, and we said it many times that Disney should absolutely hop on the Irish mythology, because there is some great stories. And I'm just going to tell a story about Fionn McCool and how the Giant's Causeway was mythologically formed.
Before you go on, can I just point out, like, Fionn McCool, Finn McCool, and Finn Dwyer is a giant and the Giant's Causeway.
Exactly, yeah.
We've managed to get Finn Dwyer in again.
He's in again. So... So the story goes, right, that once upon a time there was this Irish giant called Finn McCool, and he got himself into a bit of trouble with a Scottish giant called, I need to get this right, Benandonner, right, who had a claim on Finn's island of Ireland, right? So Finn got absolutely outraged at this, and he started throwing these boulders into the sea of Antrim off the coastline in Northern Ireland. And inspired by the way they fell, he made this bridge of boulders from the Antrim coastline all the way over to Scotland. And he said he would challenge his rival, Benandonner, to a duel over the fate of Ireland. So Finn goes off and he traipses across these boulders, and he said, so he arrived to Scotland to the lair of Benandonner. So Finn realizes that he had underestimated the size of Benandonner, and that Benandonner actually was a giant. Even for a giant, he was a giant of a man anyway, right? So that brute force wouldn't work on him. So Finn himself decided to return to Ireland via the Giant Causeway from Ireland to Scotland. Actually, what comes along here is that Finn's wife, Sive, is actually the hero of this story. So Finn McCool comes back and he hides away, and he's like, shit, what am I going to do now about this? Benandonner coming over, he's going to absolutely wreck me, right? So what Sive does is that she wraps Finn up in some clothing and kind of cuddles him up. So Benandonner marches across this giant causeway that has been there and comes over to Ireland, and he comes and he sees Sive on the headland of the Giant's Causeway, and he goes there and he sees Sive, and Sive is swaddling or holding Finn McCool disguised as a baby in her arms. So then looking at Finn McCool in her arms, he thinks that this is Finn McCool's baby, and the size of this baby, he goes, Jesus, if that's the baby, what size is the father? So he thinks that he's absolutely huge, and he hurries off, returns back to Scotland, and as he goes home, he frantically tears away bits of the causeway, and he severs all ties between Scotland and Ireland. And Finn McCool lives to fight another day. But yeah, that's the story of how those boulders and the shapes of the Giant's Causeway were formed, is through that mythological story. And I just thought, like, I went to the Giant's Causeway for the first time this summer with Kira, and I was absolutely blown away by like the basalt rock and the formation of it, and just like how cool it is. Like, you never see that anywhere else in the world. It's absolutely amazing. And I thought, like, having that mythology linked with it, it's so uniquely Irish, and it's just, I think it's like, it's probably one of my favorite myths about Ireland as well. Like, you know,
but like he's renowned in mythology for that kind of crack. Like, you know, I think when Loch Ness, he picked up a heap of a clump of Ireland and fucked it at his friend or some fella he was having a row with and missed, and that's how the Isle of Man was formed.
Yeah. It's so good. Like I love it. Like I love these like little stories that that you have. And I actually, after getting a bit into like Greek mythology and stuff there now as well, and like just the stories that like people created over the years in order to like understand for themselves at the time before science or anything like that came into fruition, like of like how these things were formed and stuff, is absolutely incredible. And like how a lot of the, especially like I say in Greek mythology and stuff, how a lot of the words and stuff that we use now still stem from like those beliefs that people have, like say like the Greek god of like Mother Earth, which is like Gaia, which was like shortened to like GE, which like forms like geology and like geography and stuff like that for us. Like I think it's like it's incredible like how those like myths that like we kind of like laugh off a bit now as like stories and stuff like that actually have like formed a foundation for a lot of like our, not our beliefs, but like for a lot of our like nomenclature and stuff like that, like, you know.
Nomenclature.
Yeah. Ooh. I know. That's 5 cans in. That's where that word comes out of.
You went straight back to college. Brilliant. That was really good. I really enjoyed that now.
Yeah.
A bit of Fionn McCool and like just one of the fellas that like you learn about in school, but like
I'm saying it again. I've said it once before on this podcast. I've said it on this podcast right now. But Disney, you need to pick this up. You need to pick up these. Like,
will you wish, right? What we need to do is write a screenplay of this nonsense, send it to Disney, and we need to rake in that money. Then, any listeners, copyright is no cost that. So will I crack on?
Yeah. What's your third can of the night and third county of the night?
So the 30th county of the Candemic is Roscommon.
Oh.
So actually a bordering county with Fermanagh, my previous county. And I've got the Black Donkey Brewery. The Black Donkey. Black Donkey Brewing, the Bucket Amber Ale. A lovely malty ale. Jesus, it's really nice. They describe it themselves as a hybrid ale, and I can see where they're coming from. It's got that lovely maltiness of a red ale, but it's also got that kind of it's got that red brown ale maltiness, but it's also got just a little bit of hopped kind of and a lovely bit of bitterness to it as well. Delicious beer to drink. Bucket. I was telling you off here, actually, it reminded me, all I can think about when I'm talking about this beer is in the US office when your man David comes up with that invention, the suck it for cleaning up children's.
Oh, yeah.
You know. Big on your toys and you suck it. Just like, I can't get away from it. Like, it's there at the forefront of my mind no matter what I do. But an amber ale, like the privilege of this series has been to drink. You know, we drink a lot of IPAs and New England IPAs and juicy pale ales, super session pale ales, and during the summer, and then we were into stouts and porters in the winter, and we highlight an awful lot of them. But we like, you know, we tipple into red ales the odd time. But, you know, we've had a golden ale in Candemic Series 1. The first beer that I drank on this mini-series was a golden ale. And now I'm talking about amber ales. So, you know, just a variety again of the different types of drinks. And at 4.8%, like, it's super drinkable. And I said it to you, Eoin, when I was drinking it at the time, was it's something that you would absolutely adore. It's this lovely malty, sweet, toffee-like ale, but this lovely, like, bitter little dry finish, and I really fucking enjoyed it. And Black Donkey, again, a top-notch brewery that we don't see on draft in Waterford or Kilkenny. So we don't, down here in the southeast, we don't get to experience this brewery that much. But again, thanks to the guys in Beer Cloud and crack beer community, we've had Black Donkey beers, and because of Beer Cloud, we can order them straight to our door. So I would highly recommend people listening to this get onto Beer Cloud and order a couple of Black Donkey beers, because it was delicious. It was really, really nice. I thoroughly enjoyed drinking it.
Yeah, I'd love to taste some of these beers like on draft, you know, in the way that they were probably initially meant to be brewed. Like I definitely think that there's some of them that have been released that have been like, this is you know, meant to be, or this can be canned, and like, you know, this beer will thrive as a canned beer or whatever. But then there is some of them that are like, need that just freshness or something out of a keg as well, like that the can doesn't do justice, like, or it doesn't do as good a justice, I suppose, as the canning, like, you know. And definitely, like, I'd love to just I don't know, just a little place now that I just do a random tap every now and again. Like, I know there is bars down in Waterford anyway that definitely do that, and they do give their fair share when they can. But maybe I just want the COVID to go away. Maybe that's what I'm just pining from there. Like, hit me with the vaccine.
You're pining for a pint is what you're pining for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, brilliant. But like, I was like, you know, I was there. I was like, there's a brilliant brewery in County Roscommon. I was like, right, I need to go and fucking research Roscommon now. The only thing that I could think of in Roscommon was Moonboy and the series that Colin McDowell did on his childhood, basically. Like, I sit here.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
On his childhood and in Boyle, County Roscommon. I was like, that's the only thing that comes to mind. So I was like, right, I need to look up Roscommon, because I can't just talk about Moonboy for 5 minutes. Like,
I would listen to that. That's.
I mean, look, yeah.
Here, what's your favorite moment in Moonboy? I'll tell you mine, right? My one is the episode where what's the son's name? Connor? Is it? No.
Yeah, I think so. Interpretive names.
Yeah, but anyway, obviously the main character in Moonboy, where he makes up, but like he has that kind of like childlike belief in things, where like you kind of you tell yourself a lie and then you end up believing it. But he ends up saying that like aliens have landed in Moon. And that like you know, RT News and stuff like gets on board, and like it's actually a brilliant episode, because it shows like the power of like kids' imagination first of all, but then it shows how much that parents will go to defend their kids as well, like, you know. So like, obviously throughout the whole episode, the father is there and he's just like, oh, will you ever stop? Like, what are you on about? Like, you know, will you ever give over with the fucking alien? You're making up shit about aliens now, like, oh, whatever, right? You know, the son is there, and you know, no, they're there, you know, the dating's here. And anyway, it becomes such a thing then that RT News get involved and they go to interview the son, Connor, and he's there, and he kind of freezes up a little bit on RT News, because I'd say it comes to the realization that it's a lie. The whole thing is a bit of a lie. So then the RT News obviously pan to the father and go, do you know, did you meet the aliens? And the father there, like, just staunchly wanting to, you know, not make his son seem like a fool. He defends his son, and he goes, oh yeah, I met the alien, yeah. And what were the aliens like? Oh yeah. They were sound, yeah. So good. It's a fucking genius, like, and it's that Father Ted esqueness about it as well, isn't it? Like, 6 episodes a season, 3 seasons, like,
I think it's genius.
Dunzo, like, you know, fucking beautiful.
I think it's one of it's incredibly underrated. I think, like, top-notch piece of work. And to be honest with you, like, it really reminded me of myself when I was that age, because I was pure like fucking.
Yeah, I remember
imaginary friends and that kind of nonsense. Like,
I remember when I was in primary school, I told a load of the lads, the whole class actually, that I had won the lotto. And I had told them so much that I had won the lotto that I believed I won the lotto. And then I was just like, wait, why are we still in this house? What's going on? Like, I'm not like, and I like my own head, I was just like what's going on here? Like this, like we should be living in a mansion. And then I think it was like, I maybe like 2 or 3 days later where I had to like cop myself on. I was just like, hold on now. You're just after making this up, like, you know, like this realization of like you've been an absolute fool, like in front of everyone. And then, but sure, the great thing about being that young as well is that everybody forgets like the next day what has happened, you know.
But I think part of that is like everyone is like that when they're that age.
Yeah.
So like everyone's like, oh, Tab said he won the lotto and he didn't. But then 2 days later, someone else is going to say that their outlad's an astronaut and he's a plumber down in fucking.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the news cycle moves on pretty quickly when you're a kid.
Yeah, especially that primary school age as well. There's no like hanging on. Like nobody remembers anything. Like, you know, it's just day in, day out kind of shite, like, isn't it?
Yeah, like you just really don't care, do you? Like,
no. So good.
But I was like, right, what do I was like, right, I can't talk about Moonboy. And clearly I could have actually when I
I know, sorry.
Moonboy. So I was like, right, but there was I was like, I'll look up and I'll see. And again, everything comes back to this folklore. And I was like, Jesus Christ. But in Roscommon, there's Rathcrowan, which was actually the old, where it allegedly is the old seat of Queen Maeve. An absolute legendary character in Irish mythology, and someone who our friend Ciara Kenny has done brilliant drawings of. She's done representations of Queen Maeve, and I actually bought one of her prints. So on Ciara's website, you can go and buy prints and get them delivered. And it actually coming up to Christmas would be a great idea especially for like, you know, some good, if you've got like a friend or a close friend of the family, or your wife or your girlfriend or whatever is a feminist, like she's got some brilliant artwork. But Queen Maeve was the Queen of Connacht and Ulster in Irish mythology, and she was just this really cool character, took no shit, and she was a warrior queen. So again, like coming back to Grania Way, like we Irish Ireland, for what has been recently like a real conservative kind of country in the last century, like the mythology of Ireland is very progressive, and like, oh, really, there's some really strong female warriors in that. But she's there's kind of like this mixed identity of whether Queen Maeve and Maeve, the goddess, the sovereignty goddess, the Tara, could also be linked to the Morrigan, because the Morrigan, and some of our foreign listeners might be familiar with the Morrigan, but the Morrigan is the Irish goddess of war, fertility, birth, and death, and the Morrigan is reputedly the guardian of the gates to the other world at Onagate in Roscommon. So Roscommon has both the seat of Queen Maeve and the home of the Morrigan. So there's this like theory that maybe it's the one mythical being. But the thing that's cool about this is the gates at Onagate, where the gates of the other world are. That's the origin of the story of Halloween, the true origin.
Oh, cool. Because
every Samhain, which is a pagan festival, the pagan festival of Samhain,
it's like a festive testicle.
I can't speak anymore. Wait till we get on to County Monaghan. That's the reason I can't speak. But the pagan festival of Samhain, which is the precursor for modern day Halloween, which we spoke about a month ago now, I suppose, is basically, there was this ancient belief that the Morrigan, the guardian of the gates to the other world, left the gates unguarded at the festival of Samhain. And that's how it all began. Like this, that's how All Saints' Eve, which like evolved into Halloween, and modern folklore evolved from these mythical stories that started 2,000 years ago in County Roscommon.
That's quality. Like, I absolutely love that. Like, I love I love the Irish connection with Halloween. Like, I love sound. I love all of that kind of like pagan ritualistic kind of thing. And yeah, I'd love like, I think the main thing about it as well is like that kind of like pagan kind of ritual thing is, for me anyway, it is definitely like that kind of like quintessential Halloweeny vibe. Whereas I think like a lot of things with like Halloween now have kind of gone a little bit like kitschy, a little bit like cheap, you know, kind of I don't know, a little bit Hollywood kind of about the whole thing. Whereas like I love that, like, you know, that kind of like ties back to those like ancient kind of like the, I don't know, ancient kind of stories that like maybe like witches and stuff like that would have been based off as well. Like, you know, it's a great story. It's a great link, and yeah, really, really good story. I like it, man.
Yeah, but it's just the kind of thing like that. The Morrigan is supposed to live in this like little cave that has a gate to the underworld, and it's this actual cave that's most common. And it's like, you know, when you think about the story, the witches, or the representation of witches in, do you know that flashback scene in Hocus Pocus?
Yeah.
And they're up in a cave and stuff, and you're like, you know, all this has to be ideologically come back to the story of the Morrigan, which is an Irish folklore mythology story from thousands of years ago, based on this cave in County Roscommon. And I just think that's really, really cool. Like, and I love the way that I've come across this information by drinking a fucking amber ale from Black Donkey.
I know, that,
like, it's just, that's the beauty of this fucking series, isn't it? Like,
I know, it's absolutely, like, I've learned so many stupid facts about counties and stuff, like, and it's been amazing. I love this. So to tip on from there, we're going to go to the penultimate can of the Candemic series. I'm getting a little bit
hold on a second, right? Because I know what's coming here. So do you want me to go again for this one? And do you want to finish on your can?
I don't mind. Yeah, okay. We'll go for you again. Yeah.
So we call this the penultimate can because I think people understand when we get to the last one why I've intervened there. So 2 counties left, Monaghan and Tyrone, both in Ulster, one in the Republic of Ireland, one in Northern Ireland, and I've County Monaghan. And I went with the Brehon Brewhouse in County Monaghan, the only brewery that I'm aware of. That's
a cool label. That's so old. Like, it's proper. Just like we'll throw on whatever font we can find just onto the front of this, like, and put a lovely kind of solid wrap, like 2-tone wrap on it. It's really cool. Like, yeah,
Irish beer crafted by hand. And I think actually, like, in the early days of the podcast, definitely we've had, but whether or not we recorded with it, definitely back in the time when we were starting the podcast off in Phil Grimes, there was a keg of Brehon Blonde.
There was, yeah.
We drank from it, which was really, really good. And like, I kind of just had in my head that Brehon Blonde was a really nice beer, and so I was like, right, Brehon Blonde, but I was like, fuck it, like, this time of the year I'm going to get something different. So I got the Brehon Shanco Dubh Porter, now 7.7%, and like, you feel every fucking percent. You feel every percent of it, you know. This beer is a heavy hitter. It's a porter, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like a traditional porter whatsoever, because it's got these like heavy licorice kind of notes. I don't know how to explain it. It's a really interesting tasting beer. It's a really nice beer to taste. But this 500ml bottle, I find it a challenging beer to drink. And I think the reason I found it challenging is because it was the 4th beer of the 4 that I was drinking that I drank. So I was after a tropical pale ale, 8.2% Saison and an amber ale when I started it. And I think if it was the first drink I was having, it would be a lovely 1 or 2 drink. I think it would be absolutely knockout for that, because it's got this lovely, it's like dark chocolatey, bittery notes, but also that sweet licoricey kind of thing. Like the smell is real kind of licorice, that like almost petrol-like licorice kind of smell, you know. A really interesting drink. And again, a brewery that has a couple of beers up on the, I got this off Beer Cloud again. So really good website. Highly recommend just going on and flicking through different breweries. And I would recommend, you know, if you're stuck for something to buy someone for Christmas, going on to Beer Cloud and picking out a few random beers, and you can get it delivered to the door if you have their air code. So I would be all for going on to Beer Cloud and trying a few of these new beers. But for me, a really nice beer. Top
100%. Wow. Yeah. It sounds really nice, and yeah, just to heart home as well, like that. The whole kind of discoverability about this thing, and being able to kind of like pick and choose on like these websites and stuff, and even just going to like what I've definitely found as well, going to like just local offies and just picking and choosing just random things of like, oh, what's new, like, and the stuff that'll surprise you for €3.50 is insane, like, you know.
Yeah, and not choosing the safe option as well, which is what we've done.
Exactly. Yeah. As in, yeah, you could be picking IPAs till the cows come home, like, you know. But it is choosing that brown ale, or like choosing like an unfiltered lager or something like that. That is just just it's definitely opened your eyes, or a black lager or something like that, like, you know. But anyway, that's the beer. What's the story?
So County Monaghan, right? I was stretching for this, and I actually have a few friends in Monaghan, and I text them being like, give me some random facts about Monaghan, but they didn't get back to me in time, so fuck. But
you have no friends.
Yeah, that's true. But I was like, I did a bit of research, and I found one really random fact about Monaghan.
Yes.
Monaghan is the main source of egg supplies in the Republic of Ireland.
What?
Yeah, main source of egg supplies. Eggs.
How many? How many eggs?
I don't know the figures, but that's the fact. But I digged a bit deeper. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave it on that.
All right.
In true Snugcast fashion, I went rambling and raving, and I found two characters two characters from County Monaghan who are at opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the way they saw the world. So there was 2 guys born in County Monaghan who I want to speak about quickly. First guy is a guy called Eoin O'Duffy. And you actually paraphrased the song Viva la Quinta Brigada earlier. And part of that song is about Eoin O'Duffy, who was the Irish commander of the Blue Shirts, who founded the Blue Shirts, and they were fascists in Ireland back in the Spanish Civil War, and they went to Spain to fight under the swastika for Franco. So they were there was this big massive, there's this history of fascism in Ireland that is you know, something that we need to acknowledge and be like fucking upfront about. And Eoin O'Duffy, who, like, the thing is, right, we think about Eoin O'Duffy and say, oh, there was this fascist guy, and, you know, this wave in Europe, blah blah blah, but he actually went on to become, I think, the first he founded An Garda Síochána, the Irish police force, and he was the first leader of Fine Gael, the current or the political party who was in Irish government for the last 10 years. So, like, it's really interesting. He's a really significant figure in Irish history, like a Nazi sympathizer, a fascist, and was central to these really things. On the opposite end of the spectrum, right, there was this guy from County Monaghan whose name was John McKenna, and who he died known as Juan McKenna.
Go on.
Because
Go Juan.
a guy from County Monaghan was the co-liberator of Chile in South America.
Oh,
So-
fuck. Actually, yeah. Yeah, go on. Sorry, yeah.
No, that's what I was going to say. There was this guy. He was born into a well-to-do family in County Monaghan, and he went off to study with his uncle. His uncle brought him to study in Barcelona in Spain, and he did his studies in Spain and Barcelona, and then he became a member of the Spanish Imperial Army, and he was stationed in North Africa and other places, and he ended up in South America, and he fell in love with a Chilean woman, married her, and all her family were revolutionaries. And he eventually like became part of the revolutionary cause, and he was the guy who established the Chilean army. So we have the guy who established the police force in Ireland on Garda Síochána was from Monaghan, and the guy who founded the Chilean army was also from Monaghan.
And what's his name?
Juan McKenna.
Juan McKenna. That is unbelievable.
I'm fucking proud of that one now.
That's class. Actually, so to jump on this Chilean train, right? Is that when I was over in Chile and a lot of the, like, South American countries, right? So you'd have like around like in a lot of the countries you'd have like Bolivar Square, right, or whatever, or or Bolivia is named after this Bolivar fella Simon
Bolivar.
Exactly, right. And you'd have him like around and named in a lot of places. But what you also had in a lot of places, and that I was going around, was you'd have an O'Higgins Square, right? And I was there going, what the fuck is this like, right? You'd be there in the middle of Santiago in Chile or somewhere, right? And you'd be like, what the fuck is this? O'Higgins Square or O'Higgins or Via O'Higgins or whatever, right? So anyway, this fella, Bernardo O'Higgins Riquelme, is like an absolute hero in the South American in South American freedom from the Spanish, and like that they like basically himself and Bolivar freed like a lot of the South American countries from Spanish like acquisition. Like, and I know I'm just jumping in on it here now, but like I when I was traveling, I was like, this is insane. Like a lad called O'Higgins, like just like free in South America, and like all these streets and stuff named after him. Like it's gas altogether.
Actually, Jesus, one of my Monaghan links has come through there with a couple of. No, they're not. The facts aren't mentioning this Juan McKenna and O'Higgins chat is great. It was actually a member of the O'Higgins family that asked Juan McKenna to establish the Chilean army and become the first like minister for defense. So it was basically like a hip of Irish, Spanish, Irish, Latino lads who helped with that revolution, which is really, really cool because when you think about it, like when that was pre the Irish Revolution as well, wasn't it? Like
yeah.
And is it Colombia that there's an O'Higgins football team?
I'd say there could be. I can't tell you that, but yeah, like I know like throughout a lot of those like Ecuador, Bolivia, Colombia, Peru, Chile. There's a huge amount of like those O'Higgins squares and stuff like that. So yeah.
And on Netflix, there's an incredible documentary. Well, no, it's not documentary. There's an incredible dramatized series called Bolivar, which is in Spanish language, which documents like Simon Bolivar and his life, and Dr. O'Higgins, who was like Dose O'Higgins' father, I think, that we're talking about, who and it's all in the Spanish language. And you know the way like Latino soap operas and stuff have this like ridiculous
drama to them,
reputation for being overly dramatic and that. Like it's all of that. Like it's so good. Like myself and Eve have watched it at the start of the lockdown. We started watching it, and like it takes about 3 series to even like get to the point where Simon Bolivar is talking about independence and stuff. Like it's so like dragged out, but it's top notch. Like it's so good, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who is sick of everything on Netflix, etc. That's County Monaghan. They invented Irish fascism, but they also liberated Chile. So like all of us, there's good and bad to them.
Yeah, a great bunch of lads. We're here, the last can. My God, 32 counties, 32 cans, 32 stories. I'm welling up, but we've had a little hiccup with our final county, and our last county, as DJ alluded to there, is County Tyrone. And DJ researched long and hard to try and get a brewery from County Tyrone. We asked all of you, and in fairness to you came back with stuff for every other county. Like the Armagh, and Fermanagh, that obviously didn't arrive tonight, but was provided to us by Snugcast listeners, and our Northern Ireland off license as well was provided by E as well. So that was absolutely fantastic to get those. But County Tyrone, we could not get a can, so it was 30. I think 30 counties, isn't it, DJ, really officially? Because Cavan, we had Ballykilcavan.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, I Carrick Brewery merged with Brew. Like, I suppose that the semantic people could argue that it is ultimately a mead. It's not.
But look, we said fuck 'em. We already put in an addendum of fuck 'em in the.
I mean, to be honest with you, we did our best. But the 2 counties that we couldn't find a genuine
and a genuine connection to, we couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, Ballykilcavan, I think, was just purely like
messing.
Like,
it was week 1. We didn't even bother trying.
I mean, that was laziness. And actually, I told you, like, I actually found a cider producer from Cavan there last week. I was like, actually, a guy's there's a Scots cider from Cavan that I think you can get on Beer Cloud.
Okay. So
So in fairness, like, just to give them the shout out because we used Ballykilcavan.
Well, look, we tried our best, and we did. I'm proud of us.
I think it's heroic what we've achieved here, to be honest with you. I think we should be up for knighthoods. Like, we'd reject them and tell them all to fuck off, but like, we should be up for it anyway.
Are you going to Bob Geldof it? Are you?
Did he say no to it? Did he?
No, he said yeah to it.
No, I'm going to do the opposite. Who said no to it again?
I don't know.
I'll say no to it anyway.
Liam Neeson. I'm just going to say his name.
I'm going to Liam Neeson it and say no.
But to round off the 32 counties, we decided that we weren't going to feature an Irish brewery at all to represent Tyrone, that we would represent a county or we would represent a brewery that has links to the Snugcast, and actually ended up having this kind of weird connection to Tyrone. So what I am drinking as my 32nd can and county is Left Hand Brewing Company's milk stout Nitro from Left Hand Brewing Company from Colorado, from Denver, Colorado in the USA.
Denver, Colorado, County Tyrone.
And the reason we decided to go for this is twofold, right? So firstly, Left Hand Brewing Company, this Nitro beer is the logo of the Snugcast. So if you look at the Snugcast logo, it's 2 pints of Nitro Brewing Company, Left Hand Brewing Company, cheersing with the Snugcast font and stuff on it, and they were very good to us at the very start. I don't really know how, but we ended up getting like promo images from them and asked them could we use it for our podcast, and they said no hassle at all.
So I actually know this story inside out because I think you sent the email to them, but
yeah,
basically what happened was we were setting up the podcast and
we needed a photo.
Basically, we needed logo, and we like literally took a picture of a White Gypsy pint ourselves and did like an amateur one. And
we
need well, like, you know, actually I think it wasn't bad for a pure amateur attempt.
Yeah.
We were like, we need an official proper logo. And we went to Phil Grimes one night with Simon Cahoon, who has been on Manny's Snugcast. And basically, I think Simon went up to the bar and came back with 3 pints of this stuff. And we were like,
what's this?
We were like, oh, what's this? This is incredible. And he was like, oh, it's Left Hand Nitro that they have up in the bar there on tap. And we literally went up and we're like, what the fuck is this? Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's nicer than Guinness, Murphy's or Beamish. Like, you know, I was like, oh my God, I've never, it was an eye opener for me. And I was like, I need to drink more independent beer. And like at the start of the podcast, like we weren't craft beer connoisseurs or like trying to promote craft beer at all. Like it just kind of evolved that way. And I think like Left Hand Nitro Stout was a real like light bulb moment for us as we were getting the podcast off the ground and up and running. So to have it as the last drink of the series is really, really, I think, proper. But as well as that, like we have made a distinctive link between Left Hand Nitro or Left Hand Brewing in Colorado and County Tyrone.
Yeah. So it is great to have the Left Hand Nitro as our final can, and we've actually gotten a bit of guff before on I think on our Reddit page for the people who've been like, who's this Irish beer podcast that have an American company as or American brewery as their logo? But like we've never quoted ourselves as being a beer podcast. Where we've always just saying we've been like a chat podcast. But anyway, so the link between this company and Tyrone is that the logo is actually a red hand, which ties into the red hand of Ulster. So like I thought it was pretty interesting, and actually I probably should have done a bit of research as to why Left Hand Brewing Company have the red hand as their logo. But yeah, like what did you make of that? Like, oh, like have you heard anything about that? Like why Left Hand has that as their logo?
So I think like I remember from like looking up their website to talk about like, oh, it's like a hands-on approach and stuff like that.
Oh,
I'm not sure why it's a red hand.
Yeah, I suppose like it definitely it definitely stands out with the kind of like black hands and the kind of white logo and the white font and stuff like that. Like it definitely stands out as that, like, you know.
Yeah, I think the thing there is like, you know, it stands out because, you know, obviously in Ireland it stands out because like it is very similar to the Tyrone flag, for example. And and even like one of the Irish revolutionaries, we talk about like Juan McKenna as a Chilean revolutionary, and the O'Higginses. They're like two of the Irish revolutionaries, the Pierce brothers, Pádraig Pierce and William Pierce. And Pádraig was a signatory of the Declaration of Independence here in Ireland, the Proclamation of Independence, I should say. Like those guys adopted a symbol of the Red Hand of Ulster as their like emblem as well, and I suppose that's why it stands out in Ireland, because the Red Hand is a very significant symbol in Ireland, purely from the point of view that like when Ireland gained independence in 1921, and over the following 16 years until Ireland officially became a republic in 1937, there was this, like, obviously, as we've joked about Michael Collins signing the treaty to have 26 counties of Ireland independent, and then the partition basically of 6 counties of Ireland. The Red Hand of Ulster, which is 9 counties, is this very significant symbol in Irish history, purely from the point of view that, you know, a lot of places would, like, for example, GAA teams, hurling and Gaelic football teams, to link it back to, we were talking about hurling match earlier on in the episode. A lot of GAA teams, there's a couple of GAA teams that are called Na Piarsaigh, which means the Pierces, and obviously Pádraig and William Pierce, as I said, adopted the Red Hand of Ulster as their emblem. And the Piarsaigh GAA teams don't have the full hand. They have the 4 fingers without the thumb. And the theory behind that is the thumb is the 6 counties of Ireland that are not yet independent from the United Kingdom. So it has this massive, significant, symbolic status in Ireland. Even with people who don't know the nuances of it, it still stands out, because obviously the Red Hand of Ulster is synonymous with Tyrone, for example, and Tyrone have been a very good Gaelic football team in the last number of years. So even the disengaged person will come across the Red Hand of Ulster an awful lot. And the Red Hand of Ulster is really is like completely intertwined with Tyrone, and this is why we chose Left Hand Brewing, because we were like, how can we make the link? And the Red Hand of Ulster is incredibly synonymous with Tyrone, because it does represent the entirety of Ulster. But Tyrone is anglicised from Tyrone, which means Owen's country, and it was Owen O'Neill who was the High King of. He was definitely the King of Ulster at the time, and I think he was High King of Ireland at one point, from the O'Neill's clans back in ancient Ireland. And when they fought the 9 Years' War against English rule in Ireland back in the 16th century, they flew a banner which was a red hand during that war. So that's, I think, like the red hand symbol goes back further than that.
Yeah.
But it was adopted by the O'Neills in that war in the 16th century, and it has been a symbol of Tyrone from then on. And then simply because Left Hand Brewing Company have a red hand as their symbol, we can make a link that we're not saying that Left Hand Brewing in Colorado are a bunch of
O'Neills.
Yeah, a bunch of O'Neills, a bunch of O'Neill descendants who are socialist Republicans. But what we can say is that they have mirroring symbols.
Yeah. I was looking up just a small bit about the Red Hand of Ulster, and basically Jeremy McConford claimed that Connell Carnock, or that's a tie back to a previous Candemic where we were talking about Tír Connell, so that he put his bloodied hand on a banner as he avenged the death of Cú Chulainn, and it has belonged to the descendants of Connell ever since then. So yeah, that's where they say that the original kind of red hand symbol originated from, was from that like bloody print from the avenging of the death of Cú Chulainn. So yeah, I thought that was very interesting, but that's not my story about Tyrone. That's ridiculous. There's no way I just have a story about the Red Hand of Ulster. You thought it wouldn't go away, but the Ulster Fry is back.
Oh, Jesus.
we had to have it for the very final one.
It had to be done. The Ulster Fry.
So I'm just going to give you a few kind of quick ones here. So Tyrone is the only Northern Irish county visible from space. So it's so big that you could fit Australia, the USA, and Wales inside its borders and still have a bit of room for some sheep. Despite this, it has the lowest number of people compared to the other 5 counties. Tyrone is the only known county in Northern Ireland that has more sheep than people, with an incredible 3.4 million sheep, but only 14 people.
So like, it's the New Zealand of Ireland.
Yeah, exactly. Tyrone is home to one of the world's most famous crystal glass manufacturers. In 1843, Dungannon man Billy Crystal discovered that most couples wanted ornate glassware as a wedding present from elderly relatives and opened a factory producing it in his shed. 150 years later, that same factory is still running, and it is called Waterford Crystal. And hold on, I'll give you 2 more. Some of Northern Ireland's most famous people are from Tyrone. Philomena Begley, Hugo Duncan, Malachi Cush, Jedward, and that girl who got into a bit of bother in Peru are all from Tyrone.
You read that just like a nan would say, like pure Irish nan there, like.
And finally, tying it back to the very start of the show, talking about GAA, Tyrone is the best county in Ulster at Gaelic football. They're so good at it that experts believe that even a team of Protestants from the county could kick the arse of any other Ulster team.
You say that now, but they were shite this year, and their manager for the last 30 years just left them.
Yeah, that's quality.
It's a good story, though.
It's a good story.
Oh.
Fuck! That has been amazing. Like, I've been so happy.
What a way to end it. I love the way we started this off with like the Gaeltacht in Kerry was the start of the Candemic, and we've ended with a team of Protestants playing Gaelic football in Tyrone.
Oh, it's so good! It's so good. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed this like journey of discovery.
I've enjoyed every drink, every can. I've enjoyed every story about every county, and I can't believe that. Like, even people will say we've blagged them, and
we have, yeah. But sure, look,
of course we have, but that's the nature of it.
Yeah.
Well, for me, we've managed to somehow represent 32 counties in a month, and represent brewing in those counties in a month. Probably Tyrone, to be fair, and Cavan, but it's I'm so proud of what we've done here. Like, you know, it's been so much crack. For me, it's really invigorated the podcast as well, because we were like sick of talking about pub watching, pint watching, and the pandemic. So we flipped it on our head, called it a Candemic, and we fucking gone and done it. Like, again, so grateful. Look, I suppose this week as well, we had the toy show, we had Waterford winning, but we also had Thanksgiving. So maybe we'll end this show on a few things that we've been thankful for this series. So first of all, I want to say that I'm thankful to Acast, because they've allowed this podcast to be kind of spread to a wider audience. We've some of you might know that our podcast episodes in their audio format as well have been published on YouTube as well. So we've able to get a bit of a bigger audience as well with them, and they just kind of pushed us out to a bigger audience in general. So I'm actually quite thankful about our switch over to them. It's been pretty good. Secondly, I'd like to thank those any of those YouTube viewers that have kind of viewed either the video episode of this or the audio episode of this. I like some of the comments and stuff that we've gotten on YouTube
has been quite nice. Like, I think that's the thing about podcasts as well. When it's on like your podcast app or whatever, we don't really hear that much back because there's just not that facility to like comment underneath a podcast to be like, oh, you know, we think this is good, we think this is bad or whatever. So yeah, we've really appreciated that kind of feedback and stuff. And the final thing I'm thankful about is some of the messages that we've gotten throughout this Candemic series have been just really uplifting. And I would, if any of you want to, or feel any bit of a need to contact us, where you can contact us on any of the social media platforms. We're at Snowcast on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. And you can also write us an email, which a few of our listeners have done over the past series, which has been amazing. Like I've actually been like some of the stuff that has been sent to us has been so uplifting. And we're on, you can send us an email at the Snowcast. It's the one thing that we haven't gotten Snowcast at, but it's the Snowcast@gmail.com. So you can send us an email there. And yeah, I've been blown away by those emails.
Yeah, I completely echo everything you said there, Eoin. Like I can't echo enough what you said, to be honest with you, because the messages have been brilliant. Of all the things that we've done and we've been running this podcast for over 2 years now, and nothing has had the reaction like the Candemic has had in terms of social media interaction, getting messages on email, DMs on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So some people, shout out to David Gray, and shout out to Wayne from the Irish Beer Snob blog and podcast, who really helped us fucking source those last few bottles and cans that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise, and really put us on track with those. And just like listeners helping out, reaching out, helping out, you know, and engaging with us, because that's really important. And I want to say, like, you know, you talk about Thanksgiving, what are you thankful for? I want to say, just as we finish up the Candemic series, I'm thankful for the fact that, Eoin, you drove the switch to Acast, so opened up the podcast to bigger audiences and stuff like that. And you've carried all the heavy lifting for that, so fair play to you for you know, working your socks off over the last few weeks and getting carrying the burden of the editing. And like the Candemic series has been a joy for me, because I've literally just shown up on a Friday night, got pissed, and had a crack. I think we're recording this on a Saturday, but like the other three have been a Friday night, and we've had a blast doing it, and I've done nothing after it's gone out. So like fair play to you. I would say if you'd enjoy this series, you want to see more of this kind of thing from the Snowcast, please just support us with the price of a cup of coffee or price of a pint a month. That's all we're asking for on www.patreon.com/Snowcast. And I will say this, the last month has been the most I've enjoyed the podcast by a mile since the pubs have closed. And it's been such crack. And it's just been the two of us, which has been brilliant. And from next week on, we have a couple of guests lined up for next week and the week after, which would be great to get back into that kind of podcasting, which is great crack.
We promise the episodes will not be an hour and a half to 2 hours.
It will be an hour and a half to 2 hours long. But that being said, there will be good quality. And you know what? You've all clearly enjoyed this type of format as well. So we're going to have a discussion. We're going to go back to the drawing board and see what we can do. Like, you know, I think there's so many good breweries in individual counties, like that there's no reason why we can't do a similar type podcast on individual counties, like the breweries that are in Cork alone, for example, would deserve their own podcast. So we look into that kind of crack. But again, in order for all that to come to fruition, we need your support. So please share the podcast. Even if you just send the link to the podcast to a friend and say, listen, these gobshites talking, be great. Thanks a million. And the Candemic has been so fucking good for me in terms of escapism. I hope it's been the same for you, the listener.
Yeah. So any party words, AJ?
Find cans. Go on to Beer Cloud. Go on to Craft Beer Deliver. Go on to Craft Central. Find cans from counties you haven't experienced before and breweries you haven't experienced before. and like order a couple of each. And while this whole lockdown, this whole pandemic continues, just try and change your beer drinking experience, open your horizons, and have a different outlook on what you're trying to do with drinking beer. So if you do get OffalyReel Brewing, so it begins 8.2% Saison, like don't expect to drink 10 of them.
Yeah. And even maybe don't do what we did with just getting like random breweries all over the place. If you're getting four Kildare Brewing Company, get their 4 different styles, because they're all an absolute pleasure and they're all different, and they've put so much work into each of those brews. So just go for it. This has been the Candemic series. We've drank 32 counties. We've spoken about those 32 cans, and God.
We have literally drank Loch Eoin dry.
Yeah. Lads, thanks a million. Good night.
Good night.
Son.
Safe traveling.